What's going on, guys, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. If you guys are new to the channel, do me a favor and hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, and make sure you're not missing any of the awesome content we have coming out. Now, for this video, we're going to be jumping into the Swamp Thing, issue number 5 of 10. So this is the halfway point for the Swamp Thing series, currently coming out by Ram V, which I have said many times and I'm going to continue to say is arguably one of the best writers coming from DC Comics right now. So if you've been sleeping on the Swamp Thing, check out the link in my description as well as the top of this video. It will get you completely caught up on Ram V's Swamp Thing. But so far in these issues, we're being introduced to the newest iteration of the Swamp Thing, that being Levi Kamei. And Levi being very unsure of himself, being unsure of the world, this transformation into the Swamp Thing has been a whole other thing on its own. And as it stands, he is still lacking really any kind of control over the Swamp Thing. It's not something that happens at will at this point. Anytime he is needed somewhere, the Green takes him. Now, taking over for pencils and ink this time is John McCree. And with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. Alright guys, so as we dive into issue number 5, we're picking up in London. And we're getting a narrative of this land, how it once was filled with so many different things. You know, now it stands as concrete and buildings and cars and vehicles and people, but at one point in time, it was nothing but green. It was nothing but lush. And all of that is still so deep-rooted down into the ground. You could even say that the magic lives underneath the city, laying dormant after all of these years. And so what is happening in one point in London, Levi right now is across the world. He is currently in New York. After everything that just happened, he couldn't bring himself to tell the woman he loves, the woman he cares about, that he is in fact the Swamp Thing. That place that she was in, the Green that she was in, he is the protector. He is the monster that she saw. As it stands, he is too ashamed to even bring up the monstrosity that he becomes. But as he leaves her apartment and makes his way up the stairwell, this is when the Green takes over yet again. And we see Levi transform into the Swamp Thing. We see the Green completely take over because for some reason, the Green, it wants to get to London. And that's what will pick us up with Sierra, appearing to be in some kind of trouble. Right now, she is doing every effort she can to try to make a call to somebody. But she's not using a telephone or any modern age technology. She's using a kind of spell because she's reaching out to somebody that she knows she needs to get a hold of. Someone she knows will answer if she calls him in this capacity. Because as it stands, Nigel went out to get smokes a couple days ago and he never returned. She hasn't seen him since then, and ever since he left, there's been individuals waiting at her front door, waiting for her to come out, and they refuse to let her leave. And so she does the one thing that she can do, the only thing that she can think of, to call the one man that may be able to help her out. That man being the one and only, the world's greatest, very, very debatable magician, everyone's favorite trench coat wearing, cigarette smoking, whiskey drinking Brit, the one and only John Constantine. Now, John shows up and lets her know, like, you could have called me in any kind of other manner. You didn't have to use this, but she wanted to make sure that he would answer the call because right now she is in a very sticky situation. She is absolutely terrified and she doesn't know what to do. Now, she doesn't know what happened, but it seems like fascists are literally marching in the hallways. So it appears something has gone terribly wrong with this apartment building. Maybe all of London, for all of we know. But as it stands, it seems to be isolated to this one apartment. But that's what will bring Swamp Thing down to the basement of this apartment. Unaware that John Constantine is even here right now, the Green has brought him here because of whatever is going on in this apartment building basement. We see a man appear to having pipes sticking out of his body in every which direction, and he is murmuring on something about bombs, something about World War II, something about fascists, and something about the enemy. Now, to us, we don't really understand anything that is happening, but as Swamp Thing starts to investigate this just a little bit further, he learns that this man he's having memories, but these are not his memories. But they're not memories of this place. They're memories from somewhere deeper, beneath this place, underneath in the ground. And so Swamp Thing, sticking his fist to the ground, he tries to hear this. He tries to feel this flow. Wherever it is coming from, he's trying to detect what is going on here. And this is where he sees the vision of a young boy standing as Nazis are bombing all of London, because it is World War II all over again. And that seemingly nonsense the man was speaking now begins to make sense. He's speaking of the Nazis invading. He's talking about the fascists making their way against London. He's talking about how these bombs drop and leave nothing but destruction in their path. Now, Sierra and Constantine, at this point, Constantine's like, all right, let's go. Like, you want out of this place, you want to go find Nigel. We need to leave this apartment to be able to do so. And as they're making their way down the hallways, they see those 3 individuals that were in trench coats just beating the crap out of somebody on the ground. And so to combat these guys, she ends up using a powder, throwing it towards their direction, and John Constantine coming out of it looking like a freaking demon. And it scares these 3 guys off, at least temporarily. Gives them the opportunity to make it down even further, to try to find Nigel. And as they make their way into the basement, they push open the door. Pushing this door open, this is where they're met by the Swamp Thing. Now, the last time John Constantine saw Swamp Thing, Alec Holland was the one, the avatar of the current Swamp Thing, but now it's not. Now it is Levi, but Swamp Thing still remembers John Constantine. John Constantine, the troublemaker, is how the Green refers to him. But the Swamp Thing lets him know that he has found something underneath this place. Something that is seeping up and it is poisoning everything above. Some kind of object that is full of iron, a body of iron, but also full of an idea of hate. And as Swamp Thing has learned, ideas can never die. And this idea specifically, has made its way to the surface and it is poisoning everything above. And that's why we're seeing this kind of crazy fascist kind of change to this apartment building. It's because the idea that was below in the ground has made its way to the surface, and now it is infecting every single mind that is living in those buildings. But as they're sitting here, this is where she sees the individual that had pipes sticking out of him. And this individual is Nigel. And John Constantine, he starts to piece together what happened, believing that there's some kind of Nazi World War II bomb underneath all of this place. And a bomb wants nothing more than to explode. And so the fuse it may not have caught, but the idea it carries is no different. And it looks like Nigel, whatever happened to him, he caught the worst of it. And up to this point, it's been using him like a very, very slow explosion, altering the reality of this entire building. And so more or less what we're seeing is this bomb, its ideas seeping up into the building and turning people into fascists. But this is where we see the Swamp Thing. He reaches to the ground and he tries to reach down beneath wherever this is and tries to uproot this bomb. He's gonna try to pull this idea from this place, because this is exactly why the Green brought him here. And so the Swamp Thing, he reaches down into the ground, trying to find where this bomb is laying. And as his vines reach the bomb, it grabs onto the metal and the idea starts to seep into him. But Swamp Thing, he pulls it away. He pulls this idea away from here, away from this place to an isolated, what appears to be island. And Swamp Thing, he appears to be taking this bomb and bringing it somewhere so it can detonate, so it can explode without hurting anybody in its path. And John Constantine, currently stuck inside of this dream state, he goes to find Nigel, climbing through the rubble of this World War II war-torn London. He finds him. He finds Nigel wrapped around this bomb. And he tells Nigel that he needs to come with him and he needs to come now. Because if he's to stay here, it means nothing but certain death. And as John Constantine grabs the hand of Nigel to bring him in, to save his life, this is where we see the Swamp Thing plant the bomb. Plant the bomb and watch as it's about to explode. And as he sits here on his knees on this desolate, distant island, we see a giant blast. a giant, bright, beaming light that takes up every inch of everything, and it appears to be maybe disintegrating or blowing to pieces the Swamp Thing. And that's where we pick back up with John Constantine and Sierra. Having pulled this young man from the ghost of war long past, John Constantine and Sierra, they disappear into the night. And on that island, as the last remnant of radioactive idea dissipates into the night, the time has taken their toll. The Swamp Thing is nowhere to be seen. And long have we known about these lines. The undercurrent of magic, the information, the thought, whatever you choose to call it, that is bleeding into our reality. But only recently have people really begun to question and wonder, what if human actions and our ideas have begun to bleed back? What if human ideas have begun to pollute the consciousness of the entire world? But that's what will take us to India, and that picks us up with Amanda Waller. Now, you guys know I've been talking about Amanda Waller. She's been in many different issues right now. She's in the Suicide Squad. We've seen her a little bit inside of the Crime Syndicate, and now we're seeing her in Swamp Thing, because right now she wants to be able to capture the Swamp Thing. That is her overall goal. She was able to knock out Peacemaker and bring him here unwillingly, because he didn't really want to do this mission to begin with. But what she's doing is planting a bomb in the location of where Levi first transformed into the Swamp Thing, where the Green first found him. And she's planting a bomb that is going to affect all of the vegetation. And if they are correct, this means that Levi the Green will be drawn here, and that gives them the opportunity to try to catch the Swamp Thing. Now, of course, Peacemaker, he's a little bit hesitant on this. He's not 100% on board with trying to catch the mystical Swamp Thing. He doesn't think this is a good idea. But at the end of the day, Amanda Waller, she wants to turn him into a weapon. Even if she has just a piece of the Green, she wants to find a way to weaponize the Swamp Thing. And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. I have to say, this was like a psychedelic thriller. That's how the artwork read. If I had been eating mushrooms right now, this would be probably the best comic book I've ever read. But that just goes to show how well the artwork is done. How well he did his pencils and his coloring and really brought it all to life. You know, the colors really do just pop out at you on the page. And then teamed up with Ram V's writing. God, this is such a good series. You know, Ram V really is trying to focus in on that Grant Morrison style of writing, at least when it comes to the Swamp Thing. And it makes sense. Why not write like Grant Morrison did? He has arguably one of the best runs on the Swamp Thing in all of comic book history. And if Ram V can even touch that just for a second, which I think he has done to the fullest extent, then we have arguably one of the best writings of Swamp Thing to come out of the new era. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. If you have not yet, do me a favor, hit that sub button, hit that notification bell. Make sure you're not missing any of the awesome content we have coming out. And until the next breakdown.